I think it's
Hello,
taking a long
everyone.
time
No, it's done.
for
It's
me.
done. It's live. Yeah, just maybe taking some time at your network. Yeah.
Okay,
So
that's
we
great. Yeah. Hello, good morning, good evening, folks. I'm Kumkum and I'm back again my Friday evening. And as I am committed for 2 week Fridays with you guys, and on the behalf of entire Eisenbridge team, I would like to welcome you on live open session episode 26. So, guys, since last 26 weeks, we are discussing about many things, and I think you guys are raising your queries and you're also participating. It's not like the whole efforts on me or Saket or any other expert. It's the quality content we are getting from you guys. I really would like to appreciate your effort, and the same way you are participating since last 26 weeks, participate today also, because the agenda is not driven by me, it's driven by you only. So please post your questions in the comment section, no matters whether you're watching from Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. We are live on 3 channels. So let's not waste more time and jump into the topic. So, Saket, thank you very much joining me again on this open live session. So, how you want to start this session, Saket?
perfect. So we wait for some queries. That's something we can do. It's been 2 weeks since we picked up the queries. If I talk about our YouTube channel queries, I can say that in the last 2 weeks, we have not received any specific thing. There were some generic conversations. There was one specific which was related to, like, can we estimate the end date of the project when we are focusing on agile way of working? So that was something kind of a specific which we probably get discussed. But first, I just take a pause and see if we have a queries coming in. So that's the one query I have. In case we get a time, we will talk. Other than that, we have been posting many questions on PMP. So if you're following our YouTube channel and if you have a goal of doing PMP in the near future, you may want to check out those multiple choice questions which we are posting on our PMP topics on our YouTube channel. So that's something is the another thing which is getting built at our Eisenbridge space. So these are the two updates from my side, and then we see how it goes. So, okay, looks like I have a time to talk about that particular question, my opinion. So the question was talking about that you are working in the agile environment and you are a project specific thing. Can you talk about the end date of the project even in the agile environment? Because agile environment is expected to have a lot of changes. Now, one thing is when we talk about project, it is a little specific agile environment. It is not a generic agile environment which you see, study, hear, because generic, in general, the agile way of working is a product oriented working. So they don't even consider anything called project. Now, when you don't have a project, you don't have a project management related issues. But if you have a project where you need to talk about a particular end date, estimation, some set of stakeholders, you need to engage with them. And at the same time, the project requirements might emerge as we go along. So the organization decides not to do a very stringent change management and they want to continuously figure it out what is the requirement, but they want to focus on project way of working. There are some billing, there are some contract, there are some other things which needs to be taken care. So in those kind of environment, again, it's a kind of a mix of agile and project management way of working. You are into something, you may have a duration in which you are expected to achieve some goal. So you can have an end date. Now, end date not necessarily associated with set of requirements. If you have a set of requirements and end date, then there is no agility there. But if we have end date without a set of requirement, then that is something we can say, yeah, we can have this amount of capacity. The vendor has been hired for this much time, and we will explore how the things goes as we go along. So that's the way probably the agile project may end up having end date, but you should not have requirement and end date. If you are having both, then it might be better considered as a predictive lifecycle project rather than you calling it as an agile project, which is also perfectly fine. If the business needs it, you not necessarily have to do everything in the agile way of working. So that's something we can pick it from there. Yeah. So that's a question which I picked up from that particular thing. Yeah. Okay, so we have two interesting questions, both kind of interrelated, if I can say here. And both of them are talking about agile way of working. So I take the question from Meghna first, and then I come to Sheetal, and then probably this is something we can relate both of them. Now, the question is coming: when working in agile, in a new implementation, what is the percentage of requirement that should be baselined or fairly well established before we jump into the execution phase? So I personally believe it's a matter of a particular project or a particular initiative. You can't generalize it. So for example, you may have a first release of a product already live, and you may get hired to implement the second part of the release. Yeah, as a vendor, then you may have a fair understanding of user persona, the technology, the customer base, and all these things are coming in. So you don't have to discover the persona, you don't have to discover the need. It's already there. It's already the first version is there. So you may have a good amount of, yeah, again, percentage is a difficult thing to put, but yeah, you may have a good amount of requirement given, understood, and you need to work on those constraints. Yeah, that's a possibility. If you're working in a space where even the first minimum viable product is also not there, then you have a goal. And again, in that case also, you may have some constraint. If you have your customer segment already identified, there could be some compliance related things. So it's all about the context. There should be inclusion of whatever is known till now. So there is no use of ignoring something which is visible to us. And at the same time, one has to be open for the new discovery which we do as we go along. uh, Agile way of working, predictive way of working, both things should follow the similar approach when it comes to identifying what is open and what is closed. Yeah, so that's something we can say here. Now, can you give some example overview? So that's a topic related to baselining of a requirement in the agile way of working. Uh, but if someone is looking for exam specific thing, the requirement baseline and agile both are not linked. So if you have a word baseline for requirements coming in, it is something else happening, and it could be a hybrid approach where you may have some frozen requirement and you want to work on other things. But in general, in agile world, we can baseline time, we can baseline probably the cost budget, but baselining the requirement for whatever reason, even for a given sprint, is not a good idea, because requirements are expected to evolve. Even in a sprint, the user story you are picking, they are negotiable. So word baseline and agile is usually not good match. But yeah, you can still have a visibility and understanding of what is variable and what is already decided in the case of any project, depending upon the context. Now, how do we handle agile invoicing in agile model? So I would say invoicing has much to do with how the contract has been designed. So the question could be, how do we probably create a contract when we are working in the agile model? So again, it is depending upon the visibility and context and the trust between these two provider. Most of the time, majority of the time, you see time and material oriented contracts are used in the agile way of working. But you may have some deviations where there could be some cap on the duration. There could be some part of the project which is estimated in the form of fixed, and some portion of the project is open as a time and material. You might be going with some ready-made product and then customizing it for, so you may have a first level license money coming in just for that product, and some amount of money may keep coming as you move forward with your services. So it depends upon what are you selling. You are just selling your time, you may give a time and material. You might be selling some of your intellectual properties, some of your existing work, yeah, as a part of your delivery. The vendor may want to invoice that part which was built by them for speeding up your development process separately, and that might get added into your invoicing. So it's all depend upon how do you design the contract. Contract is also a function of the variability in the requirement and the criticality of time and cost the both the parties are working or agreeing to. So you need to look into the contract. Even predictive life cycle contracts may also vary from one project to another project. So invoicing in even in predictive life cycle also depends. There is nothing like if you follow predictive life cycle, this is how you report invoice. There could be various element because it depends upon what kind of procurement arrangement, what kind of a procurement flavor you have picked in your relationship. Yeah. Okay, so that's the one thing. I go forward. So project manager is baselining high level design before moving into the sprint. So it could be a specific situation. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. There could be a reason for the context. We need to understand what makes the project manager do some kind of a baselining. It could be something which has to do for their contract or the arrangement they have between client and the vendor. Now, what is your suggestion related to Google PM project management certification? I am not yet aware. I have not done myself. So no comment. Yeah, what I can see is that not yet tipped, that much I can say. I don't see many on social media talking about that they have done something on Google project management. So no comment. Okay, so how do you plan for PI planning? So SAFe has good amount of material for doing your PI planning. Now, the preparation for PI planning depends upon is it your first PI or it's your second PI or which type of PI you are doing. For first time, you may have a specific preparation which is more about content and readiness of your team as well. So you need to make them ready and make them understand how SAFe is going to operate. And you definitely want to come up ready with the features and the content which you want to discuss in a PI planning meeting. For a subsequent planning, your focus is more on the content and the awareness of the architecture of the product, which should be communicated to all the team members. So in a simple way, you can say that we should ensure the development teams, agile teams are aware what is expected tentatively from them. So the features got identified and shared. The team must have worked for creating the initial set of user story. And this all can be done as a preparation if you are doing the first PI planning meeting or as a part of innovation and planning iteration when you are getting into subsequent PI planning meeting. Yeah, but I do recommend you to check up the scaledagileframework.com. They do have a PI planning preparation related material. You may need to go into the content related to innovation and planning iteration. There you can find more details. Okay, so we have few questions coming in. What all we need to consider while budgeting fixed project type apart from direct cost? Yeah, so all possible types of cost. Yeah, and it all depends upon what are you selling. So the essence here is what is fixed price. Fixed price project is something where we can tell both of us understand the deliverable. So client understands it and the vendor understands it. We know what we are going to make. Both of you can look at it even before the deliverable got created. And both of you have a clear, unambiguous way of validating that whatever you are assuming right now, whatever you are agreeing right now is getting delivered later on. Means you have a proper test cases, proper characteristics, specifications identified so that there is no confusion. We can say, I asked for A, you gave me A. Yeah, there is no A should look like this and A should look like that. That confusion should be over. And that type of thing you put as a fixed price contract. Now, when you go for fixed price, say you buy a laptop, you buy a mobile phone, or you may want to buy thousands of mobile phone. Yeah, and that could be your project. You can say, I want to buy thousands of mobile phone for my something, and this is what I want to make a contract with you, a fixed price contract which will spread across these weeks. This is the model, and this is how in different location you need to distribute it. So that's a fairly clear cut. Now, how do you quote that? It depends upon various parameters, the material, the support, the criticality, the place of delivery, the payment term, anything, So you are taking 1,000 mobile phones. Are you getting payment upfront or you are getting payment after 6 months? So if you are getting after 6 months, you need to think of, okay, I need to pay from my pocket. I need to fund this for 6 months. How do I handle it? So depending upon where you stand, what is involved, and what is your competitors are able to do it. Yeah, if you say I am quoting X and someone is quoting Y, and they may take your business. So a, a direct cost, the distribution of money against the time, risk involves, your strategic interest in that particular area, the availability of alternatives, all these factor combination of them comes to in place before you quote a number. Yeah. Okay, so we have few questions from Satpal, so I better read all of them and then I start talking. So I have a certification like PMP, PMI ACP, and a Scrum Master, practicing project manager since 2017. And from 2018 onwards, I'm into technical role as a senior consultant in IT automation space, where I need to understand use cases from the clients and help them to automate them. Okay, yeah, so technical automation space. Still, past PM CSM experience always helps me to day-to-day tasks, continuing learning, managing PDUs, which course I should help me to further as an interacting with SMEs more to understand about discussing requirement. I am thinking of SPOs and CSPOs, and what can I suggest here? So I clearly see that you have a leadership experience and now you are into automation space. And in order to do an automation space, you need to understand the requirement and the need related to that product well, so that you can create the automated test cases, if I'm using that word, in a well way. And that's the work and that's the leading thing you are doing. And since you are coming from project management and leadership experience as well as education, right now the day-to-day work and language which you use while talking to people is like you are using your previous education for doing that. So that's what I picked up. Now you might be developing interest as well as knowledge while working on product and testing and automating them, and may think, okay, how can I get into the product ownership, product management space, and which education certification line I should take there. So that's what I am interpreting the situation. So if I'm interpreting the situation right, and you can comment if I'm interpreting it wrong. So if I'm interpreting the situation right, what I can say here is that yes, you should move towards product ownership space. You should try to get some kind of internal assistive environmental work in your current context, where you start supporting the discovery of a requirement more and more. So get involved with your product people, maybe as an extra activity than your current technological work, so that you start facilitating and getting some hands-on experience on what is happening in the product space. So that is something will be needed, because with such a rich experience, you may not want to start as a beginner there. So you want to get along with it, and your project management leadership experience will be useful, because everywhere it is a stakeholder engagement. So stakeholder engagement, listening to people and figuring out what is needed, and a skill to create alignment is needed in a project management, in any leadership role, as well as in a product ownership role. So that those all skills will come into the place. The thing which you need to grow in is that more and more understanding of a domain, more and more ability to communicate in the client's language, so that you understand the client's requirement in a better way. So that's a area or a competency you can work on. From a certification point of view, yes, if the context is Scrum oriented, if the context is Agile oriented, getting the ABC and the terminology of product ownership well, good to invest 2 days of your time into CSPO training. So that gives you an understanding how things should be organized. And then the real work which you are doing along with your product people, plus the knowledge which you are gaining based on those terminology and the way the product discovery and product management can be done, help you in positioning your experience as well as your interest in the right direction. So doing CSPO is a good idea. At the same time, working in the product space as an assistant product owner, if I say use that word just to demonstrate that you are working with someone, is also a good idea. Now beyond this, you may want to do a lot of education related to marketing and customer behavior understanding. So things like how do we capture trend, generic marketing and product related books, understanding how the market moves and customer behavior, those things might be useful. So pick up some market pulse related content over a period of time, which will help you in finding out the right suggestions and solutions. Joining some startup groups may also be useful, though it's a little kind of, I would say, like unusual advice. But there are many online communities of startups and product management. The startup community is 50% product management, yeah, and product ownership. So listening, getting the ideas, people pitching their product and talking about what kind of problem they are solving, and you relate to them. That could be also a very good knowledge base for you to pick up the things. Yeah, business analyst role also gives an exposure to a product management, product ownership. And I would say the business analysis is an activity which you need to do when you are doing product ownership and product management. So you do that activity. You may not call yourself business analyst, or you call yourself, that's a separate thing. But what is business analysis? You end up doing analyzing the customer behavior, taking customers interview, stakeholders interview, doing benchmarking, understanding the interaction between various components, studying some primary data, secondary data to understand the trends. This all is business analysis, and this all is needed in order to do the product ownership, product management work well. Yeah, so all these things are good. If you want to sharpen up a little bit more on business analysis skills in a detailed space, then doing the PMI PBA, we sell that program, might be also useful, since you have done PMP also. So that's the little bit more investment than CSPO. It's just not 2 days, maybe a 1.5 month. We have an online program which can support you. But after doing CSPO, after catching up these things, working with some of your product owners, you may also want to pick up a PMI PBA as a little bit of investment of time to sharpen your business analysis skill in a project context. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just cross-checking if I might have missed something. And see, okay, we picked up, I think okay, so I think all done. Now I have a new question, I guess. Okay, so can we use relative size estimation at a feature level? How to understand the overall size of an epic without having driving through a size of a user story? See, we should understand the estimation and the goal of estimation is different at different point in time, which means when you are doing estimation at large initiative level, and the goal is to understand, does it really make business sense to work on it? When you are doing estimation at a user or backlog refinement level, you are trying to figure it out how many months or how many weeks this piece of work can take. Yeah, there is a collection of items. This set of things can take how many months. That's the whole idea. And when you are working on a given iteration, you want to figure it out, what can we predictably deliver in next 2 weeks time. So the accuracy of estimate will also be different. So you can say, when I'm estimating the item at a big space, I might go 50% wrong. But the idea here is, at that point in time, that information is helping me to figuring out, is it a right thing to do or not? That much is the thing, and I will evolve it, I will improve it as I go along. This is a concept in our traditional project management also, because many times, irrespective of the type of life cycle we pick, in the beginning itself, we need to have some understanding of what would be the cost and what would be the time. Yeah, especially if you are working in a project environment. And in a project space, we always talk about where you need to have a rough order of magnitude estimation. And gradually, we talk about the only thing which is right about estimation is it has to be estimated again and again, irrespective of project lifecycle, be it predictive, be it agile, be it hybrid. Estimation means you estimate all the time, multiple times at least. In the predictive world, we say each phase end you should be re-estimating. In an adaptive word, we can say the backlog refinement is a continuous estimation of the product backlog, and you estimate to find out what can I do in a given iteration. So with this context, we should approach the estimation. Now, there could be an organizational challenges and interpretation challenges, but this is how the overall approach of estimation is designed. Now, when you are estimating at a big level, say epic level, project initiative level, you might make some understanding of what all will go into it, say a set of features or some references, and based on the judgment of individuals who are available at that point in time, because a lot of people who will come and develop it may not be even identified at that point in time. So whoever is available, they will make their judgment based on whatever historical data they have. So they may have a set of different large initiative to compare to, or they may divide that initiative epic into features and they compare those features into the existing historical data. But depending upon which framework you are using, you may use terminologies, but idea here is that is done based on historical data comparison. You can call it analogous estimate, and you compare with something. Yeah, you compare there, and then you come up with it. Yeah, and you also put it that okay, there could be a variability attached to it. Now, how much variability? It also depends upon how well that particular initiative is understood. If you are getting into a very unknown territory, your error could be more than 500%. If you are getting into a known territory, if your customer persona is known, your platform is known, and you just need to get into that particular space, your estimation error at a large initiative to real detailed estimate later on comes in, or a real one comes in, maybe 50%. Yeah. So it depends. And as a stakeholder, what we need to do is make our best guess, whatever information is available at that point in time, and focusing on the utility of it. Now, if we specifically talk about scaled agile, they use, in order to estimate the epics, they talk about that we can roughly identify the set of features, and we can take relative estimation from existing identified, estimated, executed features to come up with the feature level numbers, and then we can put a sum total at a epic level and says this is probably the size of that particular epic. Or you can do a t-shirt sizing also, where you do direct comparison at an epic level based on some of the epics which are ongoing, the set of features they have, and the new epic which you are bringing in, and you can do a direct t-shirt sizing estimation as well, which will be good enough for doing your investment decision and doing a relative ranking. And later on, we keep revisiting and keeping both the information visible, that okay, initially this initiative was this much, now it is this much, and this is what we want to do next. Yeah, because always, especially in the agile world, we keep reminding, let's not make decision based on your past decisions. Make the decision based on whatever information you have and what you see in future coming in, and based on we decide what should we do about it. Yeah. Okay. When the CSM and when the scaled agile is relevant, yeah, that's the question coming in. So what we can say here is the certified Scrum Master program is a leadership program, is a Scrum Master leadership program in a Scrum team. Yeah. So you have a small Scrum team doing something, how that team should be facilitated, guided, mentored, and we understand the role of that team's leader, who is called Scrum Master in certified Scrum Master program. That's something we learn. Yeah. Now, in what is the difference in scaled agile? So we need to understand what is scaled agile. So the idea of scaled agile framework is it is giving a mechanism to integrate multiple agile teams into a one bigger team. Yeah. So you have Scrum Masters, you have a team level leadership, but you also need to integrate this team level leadership with other teams. Yeah. And you may have a overall multi-team level leadership also. And the scaled agile also go to a level where it gives you a mechanism to link your strategy and investment decision with what your teams are working on. So a mechanism to see, okay, we thought about this in our strategy meeting. Okay, how can I see which team is really working to execute and make it happen? And what can I learn? And if I have a new input, which team and where should I go and get engaged? Yeah. So continuous engagement and the relationship mechanism is also provided in a scaled agile, which is a portfolio and other things. So now once we understand what is the difference or what is the focus area of scaled agile, we understand when we go to a scaled agile, say a leading safe certificate, say scaled agile also has a many certificate, 14 plus and all. So if you go for a leading safe certification, you understand how this framework operates. So you understand from the perspective of what it is, what kind of a values and ideas are implemented in Scaled Agile, what are the foundational things, and how it operates, how it integrates multiple teams, how it integrates feedback back to the strategic space, and how this whole system is expected to work, and that you learn in a Scaled Agile framework. Yeah. So hopefully that clarifies what is thing. And again, inside the Scaled Agile also, you have a Scrum teams, you have an Agile teams. That's what they use rather than calling it Scrum teams. So if someone understand how to lead an Agile team, that useful, that thing is good to do. And as I said, while I was explaining the process of Scaled Agile and the education, I referred the certification called Leading Safe, which is also known as a safeagilist. It's a program is called Leading Safe. The certificate is called safeagilist. That's a very good certification to start with because it is not pertaining to any particular role, but it helps you in learning what is Scaled Agile framework in totality. So it's the most comprehensive program which give an introduction of Scaled Agile framework. Yeah. So that's a foundational program one can go for. Yes. Okay, so we have an interview question coming in. So how to create a high performance team as an Agile coach? So say there are many books written on it. There are hundreds of videos talking about it. And many framework exist which talks about, like you can talk about frameworks like 5 dysfunctions of the team, or you can talk about many others. Yeah, there are many things which is explain how possibly you should create a high performing team. Now, my recommendation, especially when you are facing these kind of questions in interview, is to make the question in such a way that which is become specific, yeah, rather than becoming generic. Like that's the, I see another comment coming in that, okay, where the team is spread, what is team? So let's not give a generic idea that, okay, these are the things which will make a high performing team, else you may be getting into very abstract conversation. So my recommendation is you convert that question into a case study, and you may bring up some of your experience and says, let me share what happened in one of my team, let me share what happened in another of my team. And then whatever you want to communicate by way of assessments, by way of psychological safety, by way of transparency, by way of whatever, building team and creating the overall thing, you bring that into that particular experience. So first, it makes the question a little real until unless the interviewer gives you a specific thing. He says, okay, let me explain where I am struggling. Then it becomes specific. Then you understand and probably give some advices. Don't become very sure that because things may be really different. The way interviewer perceive their team is operating and the way team perceive they are operating, there could be very different. Yeah. So that's something you should be careful for. Bring your experience. Yeah. Don't give a generic answer. Bring your experience. Convert your frameworks into an experience language, and that's something I can recommend. So I don't have an answer, but you can find, I only have an advice to how to find an answer. Yeah. And I recommend you to bring an experience, tailor it, and show that, okay, this is how I have done it, and this is how possibly I may approach if I face the another challenge related to building the high performing team. Okay. Yeah. So I see some community conversation also happening. That's also a good idea. Yeah. Okay, so another interesting question, what should be the approach of an Agile coach, Scrum Master in a new organization or a new project which is already on Agile implementation but has half-cooked information or way of working? So what do? You are in a situation and people say Agile, but there is all baselining happening. There are people don't share information. Nobody shows up in a daily Scrum. None of the visual indicator, information indicator indicates anything. Yeah. So what do? Yeah, you are in a situation. So I would say if you are getting this question in the interview, convert into a case study because it's very like generic answer might not work. Yeah. Whereas here I have a limited information, so I give a generic answer. So what do? I have a situation, be it an agile situation or non-agile situation. There is something working and something not working. Many of you as a project manager, as a leader, as a consultant must got into a situation where it was already hot. There was a fire and you has been made a new guy, new leader, new rescuer who will fix these things. Yeah. So maybe your label might be different, but you must have played that game. If I talk about myself, I have played that game with the name of a project manager, sometime with the name of program manager, sometime with the name of Agile Coach, sometime with the name of something else. Yeah. So that game continues. Yeah. So what do? I see what is the problem and how can we solve the problem. That's the basic thing. And now, what is the meaning of problem? Is the people not appearing in a daily scrum is a problem? If I take that as a problem, then I will do, everyone must attend a daily scrum. Yeah. I should pick up the problem which is a problem for others rather than me. So, what is the problem to my stakeholder? What is the problem to my development team? What is the problem to my other compliance people? What is the problem with my QA? Whatever is happening here, who all is suffering? Yeah, what are the stakeholders' problems are? And how can we solve those problems? Yeah, probably we will solve it by doing some agile way of working, but we are primarily solving different stakeholders' problem. So if I am in a situation, irrespective of a label, I make a list of the things, and I should not be making list of the things. Oh, they don't have a product backlog, or they don't have a say a daily stand up happening. I should be making a list of, oh, they don't have a collaboration, they don't have a transparency of information, they don't have a clarity of what they should be working on. Stakeholder has a lack of awareness about what is coming in. So I talk about the impact people are facing rather than the artifacts which are missing. And when I have a clarity and agreement on those impact, then I may collaboratively find out how can we solve these problem, by which process, which artifact, which meeting probably can solve these problem, and let's move forward with that. Yeah, that would be my approach. You might have your different approach. Again, it is I do understand these are things which might not be replicatable all the time, though I kept it pretty generic. But yeah, you may have some customization even in the generic framework as well. Yeah. So can the NLP conference be added as a PDU? You need to talk to those people who organized it. They might be able to help you, but I guess it should be. Yeah, it should be fitting into the leadership domain of PMI, where you have a leadership technical strategy. So I think you should be able to claim it in a leadership space. Yeah, CSM, CSPO, they can be definitely claimed, especially if you are doing from us. We do have a PDU claim code. You just need to put the claim code and the PDUs get credited directly to your account. Yeah, so that much I can say. But for your NLP stuff, either you take your own judgment based on PMI guidelines, or you ask them, your conference organizers. They might be able to help you. They might have some code. Okay, pretty interesting. So it's all about developing team, doing some contracts, working in the agile space, not agile space, and all those things coming in. And also, I can fairly say by the time other questions are coming, based on what I'm observing from my last 1 month, especially, I do see more and more people are getting interested into a product management and product ownership space. I can say that that trend is becoming more and more visible. So yeah, if you are also feeling so, maybe you are getting into the right direction, because a lot of people are considering that option. Because I believe that that option may also look interesting, a little bit more sustainable, and it also gives you a feeling of contributing rather than just facilitating. So my guess is that these are the possible things which are making people focus on product management space. And as you gain experience, that experience also matters. Yeah, because you know your customer well, you know the market well, you know your competitors well, and probably you will be able to deal with those people. Yeah. Okay, so how do you coach product owner when you are working as a scrum master? So the idea here is we need to focus on what is missing in the product owner. So if I have to face this situation, and if I'm getting into interview space, I will talk about, yeah, see, generic way of coaching anyone is same. What does it mean? How can I understand the person's problem? How can I make him think about solution of their problem? How can I make him empathetic about others' problem? And that's how we coach. Yeah. So anyone, if you want to coach some other scrum master on doing scrum, you make him or her understand what the team might be facing, what the stakeholder might be facing, and what kind of a things can help them. So similarly, I will understand where the struggle the product owner has. Yeah. And I will see, without making the other person uncomfortable, where the possible help is appreciated. So I need to have that foundational stuff, because coaching cannot be pushed. Yeah, it will become influencing if you are pushing. So you need to find out, okay, where are the challenges, rather than using the word struggle, and how possible, which are the one which you want to get it resolved. Yeah, it's your priority, it's a product owner's priority. So first is having open and good communication, having good trust building before you help anyone, because the person should feel comfortable talking to you. If the person is not yet feeling comfortable talking to you, nothing is going to happen. Yeah, that will become very the suspicious activity which you might be doing. So once, and how do you make someone comfortable talking to you? That you listen to their problem, you talk in their language, you understand what their pain points are, so that they start listening to you because you listen to them. So you listen to them, they start listening to you, and once that trust is built and that foundation is there, then you start also exploring how possibly you can make the person's life more easy, happier. Yeah, so you come up with those things, and then you start moving towards that particular path. Yeah, so it could be some educational need, it could be some uh, other needs, yeah, facilitation issues, and that's something we need to find out. Okay. Yeah, so same, I think, be it architect, be it product owner. The second question was, how do I coach architect? So again, first we need to build a trust. Yeah, do they really want to get coached with you? And if there is no trust, then the working agreement is the only option. You can say, okay, looks like we are unable to do collaborate. Then probably I need to be clear what you are going to do and what I am going to do, and let's create a RACI matrix about it. Yeah, that's not a collaborative way of working. Rather than I use the word agile way of working, but that might be a way of working when you have people who don't care. They may have their own separate interest, and there is no alignment. And that's something we discussed some time back also. Until unless I have a trust and alignment, coaching and collaboration is difficult. If the coaching and collaboration is not possible, still I need to work. Yeah, then I better have a working agreement. I says, okay, I understand these are the three things I need from you. We can go to someone senior and ask that, okay, is it part of his or her responsibility? You give this, I give this, and that's it. Yeah, if you don't do this, we have an escalation. Ideally, you should not be working in that environment, but that could be the situation. If there is maybe a other customers representative, other companies representative, and they have no interest in collaborating with you, then you work with the working agreements. So bring your examples if you are showing this, and then you go. So in CSPO, do we learn about writing user stories? The answer is yes. And the answer is further that user story is something which more requires understanding of the user. So you understand the mechanics of writing user story. You understand what is card, conversation, confirmation. You understand what is acceptance criteria, how to discover them, how to split the user story. You get that. But when you start working, then you realize that, okay, I need to see the user before I can see the user story. So answer is yes, you learn in a CSPO, but it has to be mastered as you go along. Yeah. Okay, nice question. So there was a question, one person is saying that in my recent interview, they asked me what additional new process you implemented in your team as a Scrum Master apart from Scrum ceremony. It's a good thing. You might have some conversation with your team. He says, rather than I implemented, my team implemented it. And there could be many things which might be coming as a process, like backlog refinement could be a new ceremony may get added. If the team needs it, you may have some kind of a mid-sprint review in case it is adding value because of offshore onshore space. You may have a specific meeting where 3-4 people are coming together and talking about getting the design and other things reviewed by some senior architects if that is needed. So it depends upon what is your context, but it is expected to happen. Say the Scrum is giving you the basic frame, yeah, which is, and they are saying don't remove anything out of it, but If there is something based on your retrospective is making sense, you keep adding those things and then keep reviewing your additions all the time. Addition is not permanent addition. You may add something for a while and then you drop it. Yeah. So each retrospective should help you to find that out. You may have such kind of thing. Many people have some kind of a mid-sprint review and all these kind of stuff added. Sometimes they also have a situation where every iteration and stakeholders are not available to look at what is happening. Then they have a special event which happens alternate iteration to demonstrate to the bigger group of stakeholders. So whatever is making sense, whatever is your challenge, it should relate to that, and you may talk about those events. Yeah. Okay. So after CSM, which way to go? Leading safe or PMI ACP or CSPO as per the future job, salary wise, that's something we are saying. So I would say, see, just certification is not alone useful to get you the target profile. You need to have something which is matching with the target profile. So you can say, I need to focus on after Scrum Master, which is my target profile. And in order to achieve that target profile, what education, what competencies I should have, and what kind of my previous experience is will be suitable there. Now, if I can get into a product management space, I have an interest, I have a background, then you go for a CSPO path. If I stick to a leadership and program management space and project kind of coordination and enablement space, I better go for a project management space like PMP rather than anything else. So I may focus on more project management knowledge. I may focus on product ownership. And sometimes you focus on both. You don't know which one will work. Yeah, because you can say from education point of view, I want to be ready, but let's see what clicks. Yeah, and then I'm ready to take whatever clicks. Safe is working in a large context. It's a specific framework. It's not a kind of a direction or a skill competency building. Like when we do PMP, we are developing project management competency. When we are doing CSPO, we are developing product ownership competency. When we are doing safe program, we are learning safe. It is not building a role specific competency. Yeah. So it is making us ready to get working in a safe context. They do have a role specific competency building also, but they are pretty much linked with safe way of working. So whenever you see that there is opportunity, there is a project, there is a initiative where people are working in a safe context, then you jump there. So I would say it will be difficult to pinpoint. These are the 2-3 certificate one should do. But it is easier to say if you have a project management interest, doing PMP is always a good idea. And if you want to work in an agile and little bit detailed multi-team agile environment, doing safe is a good idea. You may use it or you may not use it, but knowing it is useful. Yeah, because someone might talk about it when you talk to them. Yeah. Okay, so so question is just curious to know if on transitioning from Scrum Master to a product management, what technical skills, behavioral skills would be required? Any way to explore this role? Best way of exploring this role is look for the job vacancies related to that role. Yeah, I did a study for Scrum Master. I wanted to do for product management as well. But in a simplest way, I look at what companies are asking when they are looking for product management people. I did a first level analysis, and what I saw, they were looking for more and more skill and ability to communicate the requirement to the development team. So whatever I was seeing, the product ownership especially was more internal oriented. And whenever they look for external oriented competency, it's more about market research and the business domain understanding competency. So you have a combination of internal focus and external focus. Sometimes you see both coming in together. So in general, if I have not finished that study, but in general, you do see a user story everywhere. Yeah. So ability to write, ability to put an acceptance criteria, that goes without saying. That is a must thing. Then it comes to about backlog prioritization, ability to facilitate stakeholders. So second is a stakeholder engagement, working with the stakeholder to come up with the priorities and things. So ability to communicate your development team and ability to communicate with the stakeholder, that seems to be the top thing. And looking at the job interviews, job details can give you few more. Yeah, in a product management space. a product ownership space. Though product management is more about understanding customer, so it should go beyond user stories. It's more about how do you capture a user persona, how do you do an empathy mapping, how do you come up with a pricing strategy, how do you decide when to partner with the resellers, when to sell directly. So coming up the product deployment strategies or a product introduction strategy. So those kind of a questions or expectation should be there in a product management space. So depending upon what type of profile you are targeting, you may put that and you may see all these things coming in the job space. Now yeah. Okay, so I move to next. Yeah, some companies are asking for APIs experience. Yeah, so as you said, some, yeah, and I can say that yes, some companies may ask for technical experiences, and you need to decide, do you want to go there? Yeah, that's something is also important, because what they are looking for is they are looking for someone who can do team technical leadership as well as a other type of leadership. So yeah, and I usually find like some only, because people who are looking for technical leadership, they want to have a technical specific skills. They don't want to have someone who just know little bit of technology and does maximum leadership and coordination and management work. So in general, it's we did a Scrum Master job analysis, and we found, like, in that time, yeah, I was doing it, so I found like around 20% spaces people were asking for technical technology oriented thing, but rest were not. Yeah. So what is your approach when the Scrum Master, when the stakeholder were not happy after review, they have a conflict saying we asked for ABC and you developed XYZ. How do you handle this? Yeah, so I think many of you might have faced it, maybe not as a Scrum Master, but as a some delivery guy, a team leader, project manager. You must have faced it, yeah, where you do a demo, you do prepare a demonstration, you prepare a presentation, you do whatever it is, and people say, "What are you have you done it? This is useless." So at least in my sales plus delivery experience, we had many such instances. You go and people are not happy. So what do? It's a feedback. Yeah, it's a feedback. Now what how do I handle that feedback? First is there's a clear thing that customer is not happy. Now, should I justify that I was right and you were wrong? That's a one option. Someone may take it, but that's a useless option. You may justify. What do you get? You may get a money for your current delivery in case that is at stake, but you are breaking the whole future customer experience. So my approach as a leader, irrespective of a label, would be that, okay, I have a feedback where my customers are not happy. Now I need to listen to that feedback and find out how can we avoid that recurrence of it. That's my overall approach. Now, how do I approach it? Depend upon the context set. Yeah, say sometime the trust level is good enough so that you can have a joint interaction between stakeholder and the team member. That's the desired one. If that is not there, then you may want to have a pure listening and listing down the things and figuring out that how should we avoid it, working with the product owner. Now your role of product owner will also definitely plays a role, but yeah, whatever you if you own it, you also own it as a Scrum Master. Product owner also owns it as a product owner, because this is a situation both of you work together in that whole sprint. So we need to figure it out, how do we improve our engagement? And in my experience, the delivery is all about stakeholder engagement. If we don't interact with the stakeholders in the way they want to, if we don't capture their feeling, we end up making something which might be liked by the development team, but may not liked by the stakeholders. And we are working for those stakeholders, customers who are going to use and consume our deliverables. We are not working for ourselves until unless the product is a technical project, which developer is only going to use it. Yeah. So when we work for someone, we need to understand that person, and that's what I can facilitate as a leader, product owner, Scrum Master, and we can have, depending upon the context, sometimes it's easy to directly get into a workshop. Sometimes it takes time before you can get into the workshop space. Yeah. So how is the CSPO online training is working? It's working decently good. We are getting good feedback. It's been 2 years now, yeah, more than 2 years. I don't say that online is replacement of face to face. It is not. It's a situation we are in, and that's how we deal with it. Yeah, that's something I can say. So as far as experience learning, people are making use of it. That's what I can say. And we have channels like these and other channels to clarify your doubts and support you. Like this is also a channel for all of you to keep coming and discussing things. Yeah. But feedbacks are whoever is attending, they are making good use of it. And I feel when we do an online education, the responsibility of a students is increased. Yeah, when you are in a face-to-face space, maybe one can see each other. There is a pressure, and because if you are sleeping in a class, it becomes visible to everyone. Yeah, that's thing. But if you are in an online space and you end up sleeping for an hour, maybe the trainer can keep asking you, open the videos and all, but still there is a presentation running and there is a possibility of you taking break in between. But that's what the responsibility moves to the student, that okay, I am here, it's my goal to pick up, and then whatever is consumed is presented, I need to consume it. Now from trainer point of view, like, is the trainer creating enough amount of engagement container? Do we have a breakout rooms? Do we have a group activities? So answer is yes. You have a sufficient amount of breakout rooms, you have a sufficient amount of group activities, you end up creating, writing user story as a groups. So that part is well managed in the online training as well. Good. So here we are approaching towards our end, I guess. Yeah, that's what the time box is approaching towards. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the very busy session, back to back questions. And actually, I just, the last question, engagement on the online classes. So just, I have the feedback there. So it's very, very engaging. And guys, there is no escape. Okay, so with the help of all the collaboration tools like Jamboard, Miroboard, trainer will engage you completely, and there is no escape because I have done my CSM CSPO in person classes and my Cali in the virtual class. So first of thing, there is no distraction. Of course, you are working with a limited group, and you have to participate if you want to get something from that workshop. And if you're not participating, definitely trainer will ask you why you're not participating. So there is no escape. So it's with the help of all the collaboration tool, it's working really well. So that's my experience, and based on my experience, I'm sharing this.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and now we have last 3 minutes, and so Saket, in I think since last couple of weeks we are receiving questions and many things, and every time I asked you this thing, any last minute thing you want to discuss. So, what do you think? What kind of challenges after training people are facing, and how to get rid of those things?
So many times we have people coming in and says, can I get a career boost out of CSM? And my answer is that there are good percentage of people who got it, and there is a bigger percentage of people who did nothing out of it. So it depends. Where do you want to sit? Yeah, in which portion you want to go? Because just anybody, everybody can go in the class, but again, not everybody is getting and putting their effort in the education. If you are taking that step, you are at least in a some smaller percentage, say 10% segment. But after that, it is on you how you extract the utility out of it, value out of it. So there are forums, there are spaces where you interact, you sharpen your skills, you use your education, which you might have got only in a 2 days. You pick up books, you participate in various online sessions, and then you make use of it. And it might be true for PMP certificate as well, any certificate. Usually the PMP, since it requires a lot of investment, people end up making good use of it because they remain committed for a longer time. But for a CSM space, since it is easily achievable, so the drop rate is little high, people don't remain committed and engaged for very long time. So you need to make use of it. And you can definitely do that. The Scrum Alliance also has a decent amount of support system. They have their own blogs, they have their own set of webinars, they run their set of gatherings and events to make you engage and network with other participants. So you can exploit the Scrum Alliance system which is provided. We also have our a learning mentoring platform called 𝐎𝐩𝐞𝐧. Yeah, you can be active there. We can support you there. We also have a sessions like these, and we are doing some exclusive sessions also for our people where you can come, interact. Not necessarily you have a question, you just come and then you connect with people, and probably you just want to listen rather than ask something. Because when you are asking, you are only getting one answer, but a particular thing which you already have in your mind. If you have a right question, you can search on Google also, so it is very easy to find an answer provided you have a question. But finding the right question is something difficult, because since that is not coming in your head, so how do I get the question? You get the question when you interact with others, when you go without any motive, without any pinpoint thing, and says, okay, what is happening here, let me figure it out, I may discover a question. And once you have a question, you have a easy thing. There are millions of videos and blogs which can answer you, but I believe the challenge is finding the right question. So please, yeah, participate in various interaction points, and irrespective of the pick you have made for a certification, that can help you moving forward. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, Saket. I think I really like this last line you said. No, it's difficult to find the right questions. So amazing,
Okay, so
amazing.
yeah, I can pick why the service companies are asking Scrum Master profile with combination of QA testing or a BA role. Depends. Yeah, they may have a strategies, but I do see some service companies want to have a one guy doing both the jobs. Yeah, so you have a on-site product owner, but the Scrum Master is expected to support the product owner off-site, and that might be the case. And I do see that need. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. That need coming in, specialization in understanding user story. And I think that's an opportunity also, because if you get that opportunity as a Scrum Master, you can open up your future career as a product owner also. Yeah, so I take it as an opportunity. The question which was coming, why some of the people are asking the business analysis or QA orientation along with Scrum Master job. Yeah. Good. So from my side, it's all good. I do remind that we have a gap for a week, and during that week also, you can interact, you can post things on our YouTube channel. We have a OGuild website where you can interact, observe. Even if you want to present something based on your past case study, you have an experience to share, feel free to connect with us. We will organize a session for you where you can share your journey, and each journey is useful. There is nothing like a small success or large success. Success is defined by different people differently. So whatever you have think that might inspire someone, yeah, and it would be an inspiration for at least few, yeah, if not many. So come up with your ideas, share with us. We also support your journey as well as others.
Yeah, yeah, definitely will share your journey too. So please connect me. I'm just sales at eisenbridge.com. You can connect me, and definitely I'll include your journey and you'll be part of this session also. But and we'll be back again on the 25th of Feb. So there will be a gap of 1 week. And thank you very much for joining this session and adding the value and asking the wonderful questions, because asking the question is difficult, finding the question is difficult. So thank you very much. And it's a time to say bye, and we'll be back on 25th. Bye for now. Take care.